to another edition of Thunderdome!
Welcome to the Mad Max Minute, where sneak attacks always deal double damage in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, 1 minute at a time. I'm Rick.
And I'm Julia.
And today we're talking about minute 77, which begins with Skyfish swinging in to get Scrooloose away from the guards, and it ends with Ironbar shooting wildly at an air vent. Today we are joined once again by Professor Christy Porter and Gerry Porter from the Indiana Jones Minute.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
When we left off, Scrooloose was in an awful predicament. He had been discovered by the guards. Oh no, what was he going to do? And luckily for him, his friend Mr. Skyfish is on a line, ready to swing in from just out of nowhere. I know a lot of people throw around this idea, oh, it came out of nowhere, and they use it willy-nilly. In this instance, I feel like it's completely justified.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, Mr. Skyfish really did come out of nowhere. Is this the first time that we've really seen any of the other waiting ones interact with Scrooloose?
Willingly? I think, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other times we've seen Scrooloose. There was the time that he was sitting up on the ledge, as he does, and he suddenly found himself surrounded by a returning hunting trip. And so he, weaved his way out of them to get away from them pretty quickly. So I suppose that counts as interaction. But this is the first time anyone's spoken to him.
Yeah, addressing him very specifically.
Mm-hmm. With a nickname that denotes some kind of friendship.
I mean, he may be the quiet one, but I'm sure they still like having him around at least a little bit.
Did it ever occur to you guys that Scrooloose maybe is the the community shaman?
You know, I like that idea.
No, that never occurred to me.
No? I'm not saying.
Why would he be the shaman?
Well, he's kind of he hasn't grown into it yet.
Yeah. He's got a fascination with bones. Like his little grotto was just filled with skulls and things.
Yeah.
Okay.
As if he was going for his witch doctorate.
I like that. That was good. Well, I don't think he's blossomed yet, but I could see that maybe in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, I could see that, him growing into a role of quasi-mysticism or something like that.
Yeah.
Every tribe needs one.
Exactly.
They don't have anybody else? Just asking.
Well,
I don't think so.
I agree. I don't really think so.
Nobody else collects bones.
I mean, let's be clear. Anytime, when you start religion, you're always starting with Scrooloose.
They don't really seem to have much structure to their community. There are two kind of de facto leaders, Savannah and Slake. Seems mostly because they're the oldest.
Yeah. I wanted to know what the upper age limit for the Oasis community there is. Like, do you get, when you turn 17 or 18, are you banished from the community? Do you graduate out into the sinking sands? That
is a question that we have debated a couple of times. My instinct is to say, yeah, somewhere like 17, 18. Mm-hmm. That it's your time to go try and find Tomorrowland. I have to counter that, though, with the example of Savannah. We know the actress's age is 22. That really doesn't mean much, though. I would peg her, just looking at her, anywhere between 18 and 22.
Yeah.
The kicker is, she has a child, Finn McCoo, who the actor was 10 years old.
But we think he could play as young as
8. So let's say that Finn is 8 years old. Savannah would have to be at least 20. And that's on the older side for deciding that you're adult enough to go out into the world to find Tomorrowland.
Yeah, I thought of her as around a 15, 16-ish.
Yeah, we get that a lot.
Yeah.
But it is absolutely canon that Finn McCoo is her son.
Gotcha. Okay, well, yeah, so that would put, yeah.
Even given a complete lack of sexual education and getting pregnant as soon as it's physically able, she still has to be at least 17.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess she could be 16 if she was an early starter. That's possible, but I don't see it.
Yeah, we try not to talk
Sure.
about that.
No, I think your math adds up
Yeah.
pretty well.
We try not to think too
Yeah.
hard about that.
Is there Oasis? Has it just not yet been discovered by adults or by people in Bartertown? Because, I mean, as an Oasis, it's pretty prime real estate in, a nuclear summer.
Yeah, I think if it were discovered by the public in general, it would be overrun. It would be stripped of resources and completely destroyed.
Yeah.
You know, as we do. It hasn't been discovered because it's so difficult to get to. Most people die before they make it there. And Max, being Max, who just refuses to die, even at the same time he doesn't really care whether or not he does. He just always survives things. He's the only one who's been able to make it. And the kids, along with him, made it to Bartertown only because of Max.
Yeah, because he gave them a little bit of direction. Speaking of Max, as Skyfish is retrieving Scrooloose, Max is just sitting there in this pipe, gripping onto the bars of the grate that he can't fit through, watching all of this ruckus and Ariel unfold before him. And just because these kids are, I'd say, lucky, they're able to swing on this rope from the position where Scrooloose is sitting out over the platform, completely knocking over one of the guards and swing to safety, which is just 1 in a million situation. The thing about the guard that they swing into, when you lighten up the scene so you can actually see things, the guard they hit is the guard from the elevator crank that I thought was a man, but was actually a woman. And in this scene, she exhibits a lot more feminine movements. Like, there's certain ways that ladies move as opposed to men moving. Plus, you can just tell it's in the way that she uses it, you know. But it is kind of funny. All day, she holds on to this elevator crank, and the one time she has to grab onto something that isn't a handle, they just slip right through her grip and she falls off a platform.
Well, some people are good at one thing, so they do that one thing, and they excel at it, and that's a valuable part of society, no matter what that one thing is. She is good at cranking the elevator.
No doubt.
There's a guy who has an eye patch, and he takes a shovel to the face. Is his eye patch made of a spoon?
You know, I actually didn't get that close of a look at his eye patch, but I would totally expect it to be made of something like that. Like a larger spoon.
Yeah, or maybe like one of those things that you like hard boil an egg in or something. It's actually amazing. Like, it's just, and that's what, the costumes are so great in these movies.
Yeah.
That's just terrific. It looks like a spoon, like a tablespoon, not a teaspoon, because I think he probably has he probably did have a big eye. So they had to rock out tablespoon.
I like the idea of taking something that in post-apocalyptic worlds seems a little less useful. Although, as I'm saying that, it's a spoon. How is a spoon never useful?
Yeah.
So why would you destroy a spoon to make an eye patch?
Maybe you had an extra spoon.
Maybe.
Maybe an extra, well...
Or perhaps the need for an eye patch outweighed the need for a spoon in this instance.
Yeah.
Maybe he's insecure about it, or vain.
Yeah.
Not a lot of room for vanity in this movie.
Oh.
And yet, they're outfitted quite well.
Yeah.
I would say there's plenty of room for vanity.
Yeah. A lot of hard bodies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
And accoutrement.
Yeah, some soldiers that look like maybe they're related to or at least shop at the same stores that Wes shopped at.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we had the shoulder pads. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. We have tall mohawks.
Sort of, yeah, that kind of Roman... That Roman-looking mohawk thing.
Oh, it's just a shame that a smart outfit doesn't translate into smart actions, because the kids swing away, knocking over one of the guards, and Ironbar and this eye patch guy, they're still more or less in their pulling competition. And so the eye patch guy hops up and starts to try and give chase as Ironbar has his gun ready to go. And apparently this game, you not only hold on to a handle, but it's also tied around your wrist.
Oh yeah, there's no getting out. One of you is going into the spikes.
So Eyepatch takes off running, and poor Ironbar, I say poor Ironbar, he's trying to shoot children. He gets dragged up into the spikes, and so he's sitting there with his arm in the spikes, pulling the trigger, trying to shoot these kids. Just not having any sort of success, which is what we want to happen.
Yeah, it took me a few viewings to figure out why he was shooting so wildly. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Just be normal. For once, just be normal. It took me a few to figure out that the other guy had walked away. I'm pretty sure the other guy walked away to reach for the bolt cutters, to release them both. But there was no communication between Eyepatch and Ironbar, so there was no coordination, and one guy's trying to get the bolt cutters while the other guy's trying to shoot a gun.
Right.
But I gotta give him credit. Ironbar's hand was pulled up into the spikes. Now, if one actually pierced him, I'm not really sure. He does seem to cry out a bit in pain, but I'm not sure if it's frustration at what just happened to him or actual pain because he was impaled.
Yeah.
But he doesn't let that stop him.
Yeah.
He does his best, which is not good enough.
No.
It's rather stormtrooper-esque. But at least he has a good reason.
He has a tremendous ability to focus, I think, in this movie, Ironbar.
He does.
I mean, it you know, he sometimes still comes up on the, you know, the sticky end of the lollipop, but he is able to focus, and he's you know, he's the first to notice that Scrooloose is there. You know, he's normally quite alert.
Yeah. Now, Gerry, I consider you a bit of an expert on, you know, secret brotherhoods that are devoted to things and very focused. Would you consider Ironbar a good addition to the Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sword from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade?
He'd need a fez for starters, and if he was a true member, I think we can tell he'd have a tattoo right below his Adam's apple. Yeah. But I could see him, you know, I do think he would be a good addition. I think he'd be a good addition to, you know, to any team of miscreants or brigands, malefactors, whatever. I think he's pretty good that way. He seems to be loyal. He's alert.
I only ask because it seems that his marksmanship is on par with the other members.
No, that is all true, actually. That is indeed true.
That's true.
There's a lot of, I noticed this movie has a lot of similarities with the Indiana Jones movies. I mean, there's the monkey.
Sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
We have all sorts of shooting and wild shots that just never really hit their targets. We certainly have a Cairo swordsman scene at the first 10 or 15 minutes of this movie, right? When Max first enters Bartertown.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we have the guy who comes out with all the switch nunchucks and that sort of thing, and Max just blows his feathers off.
Yep.
We have a classic Han Solo move, right, coming up not too far with where you know, Max is chasing the bad guy, then the screen goes quiet for a minute, and then you know, with all the stormtroopers coming chasing Han Solo.
Yep.
There's one of those. Yep. You know, there's a frying pan to the face. Come on, that's a nice little Marion tip of the hat.
Yeah,
right?
I forgot about that one. That's coming up in a while,
Doink.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
and I dare I say, certainly with Last Crusade, this movie seems to it seems to have been infected with some of that late 80s silliness.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Which there may be a few Indiana Jones fans who are throwing tomatoes at me because some of them love Last Crusade as their favorite, but there's a little bit of, you know, whimsy and frivolity that you know, sort of, you know, I find chafing. But here, you know, so I noticed this and it made me think. So okay, what year is this? 85? 85, yeah. So this is a little before the Indiana Jones stuff, the Last Crusade at least. But Mad Max and Road Warrior are pretty dark, man.
Yes, indeed.
yeah.
I'm still stuck on frivolity. Where's the frivolity exactly?
Well, there's a bunch of. I think at the end of perhaps Tomorrow's Minute, we get a couple of wheeze. There's also there's
a frivolity, hon.
Yeah, there's a frying pan to the face, and then the frying pan to the face again with a big goofy smile. A little later in the movie, and there's a couple of things that you wouldn't necessarily expect to find in Mad Max installments.
Yeah, I don't think you'd ever find a raider being smashed in the face and then having a broken tooth goofy grin back in Road Warrior.
Exactly.
They were more the speed of letting vehicles drop on people.
Yeah.
And folks getting arrowed and falling over dead.
Yeah.
Into barbed wire. That was more their speed. You can definitely tell that this is PG-13 fare.
And there's I honestly hadn't, last time I saw this movie was, I think, in the movie theater. And I saw it more than once, but it's been, I don't know, what is that, 30 years? So, I was eager to see it again, and I was fascinated by the fact that it did have sort of the same tenor or, tone that Last Crusade has, that we talk about quite a bit on Indiana Jones Minute, where there's some real dark parts. There's the things that you recognize that are signature Indiana Jones or signature George Miller, where you go, oh my God, look at that. That's incredible. That's that guy. That's perfect. And then there's other moments where you go, whoa, did that just happen? Is that? Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know we were going like that, but all right. So, I think it's interesting that they're both of those movies are the third in the in the franchise.
Yeah.
Last Crusade and Beyond Thunderdome.
I think third movies in any franchise struggle from time to time.
Yeah, hard to do. Very hard to do.
Sure, that would be a good question. Is which movie? Is there what franchise where the third one is fantastic or sticks out? I don't know. Or the best? Yeah, I don't know.
Or the best.
Mm-hmm. Certainly.
I know we have our those that like the Crusade best. I don't know if it's far and away best. We'll have to think
Jaws
about that.
3 in 3D. I'm kidding.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I can't think off the top of my head of any third installments that are the best of a trilogy.
I mean, The Godfather 3 is universal. Universally panned. I shouldn't say panned, but it's considered far the inferior in the group.
That's only because the first one was so good, right?
Well, the first two were magnificent.
So good.
Yeah, like amazing.
Jaws 1, Jaws 2, fabulous. Jaws 3.
Jaws 3,
I
not
don't know
so
how
much.
people would feel about Lord of the Rings. I liked all of them. I liked all of the Lord of the Rings.
The third Lord of the Rings movie, Return of the King, did get an Academy Award. So you could argue that the Return of the King is the best of the three, but even so...
For different reasons, though.
Yeah.
Because that trilogy was filmed all at once. It all had the same budget, the same actors, the same director, the same everything.
And they filmed it all at once.
Yeah. So
it's not really a third. Yeah. It's just a long movie.
It's just a really long movie.
Really long movie.
One of the
Spider-Man?
big differences with this iteration of Mad Max as opposed to the first two was there was more money, more corporate voices, more distribution. It needed to be more widely appealing.
Yeah, more commercial.
Yeah, more commercial.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a statement that I don't agree with, but many people think that Prisoner of Azkaban is the best Harry Potter film.
Oh.
And that's the third one.
I've heard that as well, that the third one is the best.
It is a good one. I don't know if it's the best. I'll have to think it.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've gone back to that one.
You know what's interesting is Fury Road is one of the best movies I've seen in the last 10 years. I saw Fury Road in the theater 4 times.
Yeah, Fury Road definitely takes the, I guess, large time gap 4th film reboot / sequel and elevates it where Indiana Jones didn't exactly. Now, Jerry, you might not have heard that there's a fourth Indiana Jones movie, but it did not perform that well.
Yeah, it's funny. I'd say half of the Indiana Jones fans don't count that as part of the franchise. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If you're a fan of the franchise, there's a certain loyalty that's expected of you. And, you got to be there through the tough times, too.
Yeah. If you don't appreciate me at my Ewok adventures, then you don't deserve me at my Empire Strikes Back.
Phantom Menace, looking at you.
Well, we're going to be doing it just because I agree with you. It's an Indiana Jones movie, so it must be talked about.
I might be looking forward to that one just as much as I am looking forward to our own fourth season.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm hoping that once you guys start truly dissecting it minute by minute, I'm hoping that you will be surprised by some of the things that you end up enjoying. Maybe not that you'll end up liking the movie, but that there are aspects that you enjoy more than you thought you would.
People have said that because the movie, it's a 100-yard dash and Crystal Skull is starting at the, 150-yard line, the 50 yards back. Just such with and barefoot and, just ate a bunch of Fritos and Papa John's before the race. Isn't really, nobody's expecting anything good out of it. And that's sort of the reputation it has. So, no, you're right. I think it's like, there's only one place to go from this sucks.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Very brave of you, Chair.
I think you're right. I think you're right, though. I'm sure there'll be some redeemable moments. What, can I ask, what did you guys think of long-haired Max?
Boo.
Okay.
Yeah, Julia's not
all
a
right.
fan.
But it does it again fall under the category of 80s sensitive guy?
80s, but not sensitive.
It's like 80s hair metal band.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rick, what'd you think?
It didn't bother me. I guess I saw it as the natural extension of Max, a man who doesn't really care what he looks like, just letting his hair grow out. I am, however, very glad that he did get a haircut, because there's just something about a long-haired Max that's just not the same as the Max we all know.
Mm-hmm.
And let me point out, he wasn't simply a long-haired Max. It was cut short in the front. He had a mullet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You could tell that it was
Yeah.
cut for convenience. The parts in the front that were getting in his face, he cut short, crudely. But the parts in the back, it wasn't really worth his time and effort to pay attention to.
Okay, so could we expect that from a nomad? It's kind of practical.
I feel like you could reasonably expect something like that from a nomad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about, like, the Bedouins. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Bedouins tend to be religious, correct?
I think so.
And many religions have grooming standards.
You know, living in northern Africa, probably heavy Muslim influence.
So they would follow their grooming standards, even if it was inconvenient.
Yeah.
Right.
But Max has no grooming standards.
No.
Nope.
He's gritty with the short hair.
I'd actually buy that if it were a matter of convenience, and he gives himself he's self-mulleted. That would make sense for me, but it's just a little too 80s.
It
It's a
is
little too
very
80s.
80s.
And it also looks a little blonder to me, which is unsavory. It's not buying it.
Yeah, I buy some sun bleaching, but
Yeah, I'd
this
buy
seems
that.
to be a little more than that. This is on
Yeah.
purpose. Like, look at me. My hair is sun-kissed.
That's not going to work for me, I'm
not
telling
really.
you.
I think his look in Braveheart with the long hair is done much better.
Yep.
And even there, it's not that he just has long hair. It's very scruffy and unkempt and kind of not gross, just not great at all.
It's manly.
Yeah, it's manly, but there's still something more attractive about that long hair than this long hair.
True.
This long hair, my favorite part was when he woke up and his hair was cut short.
Amen.
Like, okay, now the movie starts.
Yeah.
This is the Max we've been waiting for.
Short hair Max.
Yes.
Looping back into the minute real quick. We've got all of the guards. They are going down from the platform to investigate what's going on, and we get to check in with Master real quick, who has found his crib, might be a good word for it, smashed by the guard that fell off the platform. And so the mohawked guard, Ironbar, and the eye patch winch guy are wading through the pigs, and as they go, suddenly we hear the voice of Pig Killer say, "Excuse me." Eye patch guard turns around and then wham, right in the face with a shovel.
Yep. Harry Daffy Duck.
Yes. I know that Pig Killer is kind of taking over this plan. He is the usurper of this escape plan? Not escape? I'm not really sure what it is. I really like how he takes control. He seems almost clear-headed about it. Mm-hmm. Especially, like, we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But I really like how with it he seems, and how his plan of taking out this one guard was very effective.
I bet he's been planning this for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Do you think he was planning it before he met Max?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's been sentenced to life in Underworld. And what else do you do when you're stuck in a hot, stinky place shoveling poop all day? You probably think to yourself, oh, well, if I were to escape, this is how I would do it.
He did seem quite resigned to his fate when we first met him, when he first met Max. So you think that even though he seemed resigned to his fate, he still fantasized?
Oh, absolutely.
That does seem natural.
Absolutely.
Probably has a lot of time on his hands.
Yeah.
Right.
If I've learned anything from the movie The Great Escape, is that you never stop planning your escape.
Mm-hmm. One detail that really stood out to me once I brightened up the scene is the fact that the last guard in that line still had the bolt cutters that he grabbed to free Ironbar from the strength game. And so when he got knocked out by the shovel, that's the first thing that Pig Killer went for.
Yeah.
So he grabs these bolt cutters and he turns around to face Master. And Master, well, he has this tiny little stick that he probably uses to bat pigs away, but he holds up the stick to almost protect himself.
Yeah.
From Pig Killer, because if you have been the boss of a slave labor force for years, you probably have had some interactions with the labor force that were rather one-sided. And so if you find yourself in a position of weakness relative to the general situation and someone comes at you with bolt cutters, you might be a little defensive.
True.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
But Master is quickly calmed by Pig Killer says, no. And then from the other side, Eddie shows up to shush Master. But it's very obvious that Eddie doesn't have a lot of experience shushing people, because he starts with his pinky raised and then switches to his index finger once he realizes that he's using the wrong side of his little fist.
That's true. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that.
It's just a little adorable detail to remind us that we are still dealing with children.
Right, who have no experience with outside their own society.
Yeah.
Like, he probably just learned that gesture from Pig Killer.
Oh. One fun detail about Pig Killer's outfit. Yeah, he still has that giant sprocket thing around his neck, but on his right shoulder, his little shoulder pad is actually the rubber sole of a shoe.
Yeah, yep. See that?
That's on his right shoulder?
So when he's carrying things,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
like giant buckets and tanks and whatnot, he just puts it on the shoe.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask if you thought he was emulating Max. But no, it makes sense that he would find something around in the trash that would make his job a little bit easier. I doubt the guards gave it to him.
Yeah,
they don't care.
Because when Max was first in Underworld, he wasn't wearing his jacket.
That's true. He was just wearing, like, those, if you can even call it a t-shirt anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were scraps of a t-shirt involved.
Yeah. What did Max do with his jacket while he was in Underworld? Did he leave it with Auntie? That seems dumb.
Well, they have a gun check. Maybe they have a coat check.
Well, he never got his guns back. Doesn't seem like a very effective system.
Max never took a ticket. He checked all of his guns, and then he never actually got
He did. That's
a retrieval ticket.
That's a good point.
How would he have gotten
No
his
idea
guns?
who those guns belong to.
Exactly. So Pig Killer, Master, and Eddie, they're off doing their own thing. And Ironbar and the Mohawk Guard are very interested in checking out the end of this pipe. So The Mohawk guard is climbing up to take a look, and he puts his face in front of the pipe, and then just from out of that pipe, like a piranha plant in Super Mario Brothers, Max's fist comes out, punches the guard square in the face, and he falls back to the ground, prompting Ironbar to just start shooting wildly once again.
That made me very nervous because I thought, trying to punch through grating like that, and really get a nice solid wallop, I'd be afraid that I might hit the bar.
Yeah, and you don't get any follow through.
Right. Just because he's got to be far enough away so that, the guard can't see him.
Mm-hmm.
And is it his left hand? It might be his left hand. Maybe he's a southpaw.
I don't rightly remember.
It's his left hand. I can confirm.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's a great shot, but boy, that makes me nervous.
I could see Max crouched back from the edge of the pipe and waiting to just see the feathers of that mohawk start to appear in the opening to the pipe. And then once the face is there, he would spring forward.
Yeah.
And use that forward momentum of the spring to then punch through the center of the grate. Because that grate, it's not large enough for someone like Max to crawl through, but Skyfish and Scrooloose were able to crawl through it no problem.
Yeah. What did you make of the baby? It's earlier in the scene, but the last thing that they pull up, Skyfish and Scrooloose pull up is the baby doll on the backpack.
Yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere. I don't recall seeing that baby doll before. We know
right.
that
It kind of came out of nowhere, and
and
it's something that you don't, once you see it, you don't really forget it.
Yeah, it's hard to ignore.
Yeah. We know that Eddie has a teddy bear that he's got strapped to a pole, and he uses it like a walking stick. Sometimes he straps it to his back, and actually, when he straps it to his back, it sticks up over his head an awful lot like Ironbar's kabuki mask.
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't recall ever seeing this baby doll before.
And I don't know why that baby doll would be hanging out of the pipe.
Well, I guess Scrooloose and Mr. Skyfish have recently re-entered the pipe. Mm-hmm. But Anna Goanna, Savannah, and Kusha
and Tubba.
And Tubba and Max were all too big to ever leave the pipe. But none of them would be carrying a baby doll.
Right.
It could just be part of a bag that Scrooloose had, or maybe Skyfish had. I just like the detail that these children toys come to adorn rucksacks and different accessories that these kids have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They probably don't even understand why they have them. They just still have them as decoration.
It's like his talisman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more about its role as a relic from Tomorrowland.
Mm-hmm. So what's the take on that with Never Never Land?
Oh, there's definitely
it's more hopeful.
So many
more hopeful.
parallels.
Sure. But I mean, Never Never Land sounds like, well, what the hell's the point? Why talk about it? We're never going to get there.
Right.
But Tomorrowland, you're like,
quite
well,
opposite.
Yeah.
Tomorrowland's a place where they can grow and advance as a people, where things are hopeful and they can continue to move forward, which is the polar opposite of Never Never Land, where the point is to stay still.
Yeah, Tomorrowland is promise and reclamation and advancement, where you could say the grotto that they live in, the crack in the earth, is their Never Never Land. Because they're never gonna advance their situation.
Right. And you could say they never grow up, because once they do, they leave. So it's full of only kids.
But Never Never Land, people want to go to and stay in. And this they don't.
Right. Well, Max wants to go there and stay there.
That's
true.
True.
And what's interesting, that's because Max knows, he's been around the block.
Yeah, he knows that the grass is not greener on the other side, because there is no grass on the other side, because it's a post-apocalyptic wasteland.
And of the Lost Boys, we really only get a little bit of backstory about how Peter came to be in Never Never Land, and it was by choice. He thought that there was nothing for him in the real world, so he decided he would rather go to Never Never Land and never grow up. So that kind of parallels Max, and he's right. Max is right. Peter is wrong. Max is right, that there isn't anything for him in the real world.
Right.
Where, it's Bartertown.
Right.
He really is better off in the crack in the earth.
So the situation that we find ourselves in, between Max, the kids, and the guards, it's spiraling quickly out of control. Do we we think there could have been a more deft way of going about this? Maybe a better way of getting in?
Absolutely.
Yes, without the kids.
Without the kids, that's right.
Well,
Or if they had a plan, or if they even if Scrooloose didn't disobey Max, then at least they'd be on the same page.
Yeah, I think having a plan is key.
Sure.
Yeah, I think step 1, have a plan. Step 2, utilize effective communication, which is another way in which things fell apart because of Scrooloose, because Scrooloose doesn't communicate.
that's his thing.
Right.
He's famously non-communicative. So things have spiraled wildly out of control. We're stuck in a situation where they're getting constantly shot at. So the last thing we see today are just bullets sparking around the opening of this pipe and inside the opening of this pipe. It's very hectic and probably very scary for the people that are being shot at. But we're going to put a pin in this situation. We're going to pick up with it on Friday, and we'll see how this situation evolves. And you could say it kind of resolves itself for at least a little bit. Ironbar is going to quickly discover that all of his comrades have been incapacitated, so that's not good for him. He's going to try and shoot Pig Killer, but he will make the critical error of being distracted by deep thought and ultimately fall prey to just shenanigans. We're going to wrap up the week with that. It's going to be a good time. The Mad Max Minute podcast is a fan project by Rick and Julia Ingham.
The Mad Max franchise was created by George Miller and Byron Kennedy, is presented by Kennedy Miller Mitchell Productions, and distributed by Warner Brothers.
Mad Max Minute is produced and edited by Rick Ingham. Our opening music is Verdi's Dies Irae by Daniel Batista of danielbatista.com, and our outro music is We Don't Need Another Hero by MilitiaVox of militiavox.com.
Our home on the internet is madmaxminute.com. You can follow us on Twitter at madmaxminute, like us on Facebook by searching for Mad Max Minute, and join our Facebook listener group, Mad Max Minute Beyond Microphone.
If you'd like to support the podcast, visit madmaxminute.com, where you can check out our TeePublic storefront by clicking the store link, join our Patreon by clicking the support link, or make a one-time donation by clicking the donate link.
Thank you for joining us for Minute 77 of Beyond Thunderdome. We'll see you next time.
Every